JBB's Final Thoughts, Episode 27, Better Online, Better Face-to-Face, Career Networking with Kirk. Joe Bastillos here. The following is an interview conversation that I had with LinkedIn advocate and friend Kirk in the spring of 2016 when I was still living in Orlando just before leaving for Las Vegas. This is one of two interviews that I did when I was looking into the theme Better Online, Better Face-to-Face. A theme that I find even more interesting now as social networking or social networks like Facebook have come under fire for its unintended and unanticipated consequences in this nation's political life. Thanks for tuning in. JBB's Final Thoughts, Episode 27, Better Online, Better Face-to-Face, Career Networking with Kirk. Thank you for volunteering to do this this rookie run here. First time that I'm trying to do some Hangout recordings and stuff like that. But I thought, when I was considering the theme this month of better online or better face-to-face when it comes to something like career changes or working the work, career, social networks, you're kind of my inspiration. What's your take on the values and the pros and the cons?
It's interesting because I've been leveraging my network, really since we had access to web technologies. Once people were generally available over the web through a number of services. And, it started out essentially just by maintaining, your Outlook contacts from, position to position. I joined LinkedIn very early on. I believe I was one of the first 10,000 subscribers to LinkedIn.
Wow.
It's become increasingly more useful to me, not only from a networking perspective, but also from a hiring perspective, from a career development perspective. Even in my job as a professional services executive, I use it extensively in the area of when I have to write a job description. What are the current relevant job descriptions out there that would be applicable? But along with that, I find with each new job, there's the people that I come in contact with that I either ask to join my network or they ask to join my network. And I'm very selective. So in my career, my job searches as they've occurred, I've been blessed. I've had people who've helped me out. And I really believe in paying it forward. Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, I take opportunities to network with people who are more junior than myself and who could potentially need help. But also I look at the opportunities for managing upward. Mm-hmm. So who are those executives in my career that either I'm currently working with, have worked with in the past, or might be working with in the future? Mm-hmm. And, it really pays business partners, people in the similar industry, leveraging the groups, people who know people in your network. I think always looking at opportunities to expand your network, but at the same token, continue to be selective. When I see someone in my network who starts posting social information like, hey, I did this, I went to this restaurant on Friday night, what did you do? If I see a couple of occurrences of that, I drop them from my network.
Right.
For me, LinkedIn is a professional network. Yes, it's social, but on a professional level.
Right.
So I really keep it professional, and those are the people I want in my network who understand and respect that and use it in that manner. But it's used in such a variety of ways. Like I say, I would say every quarter, the functionality that it offers, the usefulness that it offers increases.
You had made a comment in terms of going with the premium version versus the free version. And because I know one of the things that was offered in the premium version was the email service. But it seems, go ahead.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt. So I go back and forth.
Uh-huh.
So when I'm in job search mode, I tend to go with the premium.
Okay.
But probably what you were going to say is the in-mail isn't really effective.
Right. Yeah.
You get very few hits on in-mail, and if that's where you were going with that, that's true. So there's definitely templates that you can use to craft your in-mail requests so that they're a little more enticing to the person you're sending them to.
Uh-huh.
And there are, interesting thing about LinkedIn is, there's a whole ecosystem of jobs that have grown out of LinkedIn and that LinkedIn supports. I recently attended a webinar from an organization that dealt with exactly that topic is how to make the most out of your premium usage with LinkedIn. Providing templatized emails for sending your in-mail requests and providing guidance in that area. So, my own personal perspective is I'll take advantage of it for a limited time, then go back to my regular usage, which is really, 90%, 95% of the time, that's what I use, just the kind of the base free LinkedIn.
If you were, let's say, in job search mode, what sorts of changes, or do you make any particular changes in your profile to kind of help in that process?
Yeah, the profile is ever evolving. I think for me, the key to what drives me is staying relevant in the industry. Okay. Working with organizations who are doing, cool, interesting, relevant things. I'm not interested in doing what I did 10 years ago. Right. Otherwise I'd probably still be at that company. It's possible to fall out of pace with what's going on. You work with your team, you keep the same projects going. So for me, it's even more important to stay relevant.
In comparison to, let's say, the days before LinkedIn, let's just use that as a benchmark. How do you compare and contrast how you would go about moving your career forward? Or let's say in a job search mode.
Well, it was really by those personal contacts you had.
Right.
It was, you don't have today where you can go out on LinkedIn and you can see, who's, 2 degrees of separation for you in a particular area and ask for an introduction. Right. Hey, I see that the CEO of this organization who does that. Would you be so kind as to make an introduction? These are things you can do with LinkedIn. Before you had to, call a person in your contact file. Right. Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm looking for. Do you know anyone? You just didn't have the visibility, nor could you look at them and create, I would say, or correlate your experience to that organization. Right. So when you send them a note via LinkedIn, that you frame it out in a way that's relevant to what they're looking for. Right. Now, the last thing I want to do is send someone an inquiry about a potential opportunity and not show that I'm the person who has the experience that they need in their organization. Right. So with LinkedIn, you can look at them and other people in the organization and do a very good job of proactively positioning yourself, where prior to LinkedIn, it was really challenging to do that. You had to take your best shot, talk to the people who know the person, and then pull it all together and send them an email and hope you get some traction.
Right. So in some ways, what's changed is there's a little bit more transparency so that you can know more about the potential employer, and then also that the potential employer can look at you with just one click instead of having to go through many more steps.
You're absolutely correct. So there's a transparency. You can also then when you're looking at the employer. So I recently went through a job search, prior to where I'm at right now, and it was a great experience. But I had one particular company that I had a series of probably 5 or 6 interviews with, from their senior VP and to the VPs that report to this particular individual. What was interesting is that with each of the individuals that I interviewed with, I could go out, look at their current job, look at what they've done in the past. I could go to the company, research the company, what their particular departments were doing in the company. I could, within LinkedIn, also look at what other positions they're hiring for, because many organizations use LinkedIn for hiring. Mm-hmm. So it's actually my favorite resource for jobs, is to go via LinkedIn and look at the jobs functionality. So you can dissect it organizationally, you can dissect it from an HR perspective in the jobs, you can dissect it from the people in the organization that you'll be interviewing with, and you really have every opportunity to put your best foot forward and to give yourself the greatest opportunity to, I would say, win a position in that organization. Right. And it's competitive today.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing, is it's a lot easier to get out there, but it's also how do you rise above all the noise?
It's challenging. And I think people also look at your network. So that's why you want to have in your network a very senior network. Mm-hmm. When I'm looking at someone's network, if if they don't have senior level people or recommendations from senior level people, or I see that they know senior level people, I'm probably not as apt to invest time with them, That's why in mine, I try to, I really work with executives, with CEOs, SVPs, VPs, within organizations. So when someone looks at my profile, they see that I'm connected to very senior people in organizations. It's really beneficial to develop the senior level network in your LinkedIn profile, so that when senior people look at your profile, they see that you are networked with other executives. Right. And I think that positions you, much more favorably when you're applying for higher level positions in an organization. If I'm looking for a more tactical role, honestly, it won't matter. It doesn't matter that I know the CEO of this organization or that organization, or at that level. Right. But I also don't accept every invitation I get either. Right. If it's an individual who's not in my industry, or is just kind of fishing, or has no job history, for example, if someone I've received on a weekly basis, I'll receive, I don't know, a few, say up to 10 invitations to connect, but there are people who have no work history, no job history. Right. And I mean, as much as I'd love to be a part of that, if I don't know them, they have no job history, I'm not going to accept them into my network. Right. There's no reason for me to do that.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. So it does come back down to kind of having a good Rolodex.
It really, it's all about that, right? In my industry, it's that's a great way to put it. It's a very transparent Rolodex.
Right. Yeah.
So when a company like this,
because that's what you used to protect, is you used to not share that. But now, any employer can literally go to your profile and look through it.
Oh, it's interesting. This last job that I went through this last opportunity where I went through so many interviews, they had a very difficult decision, and I spent hours and hours working on this. I'd say days and days, and ultimately, what it came down to is the person that they hired over me, I was number 2, had a relationship with Microsoft that they wanted.
Okay, there you go.
And, I didn't have that. I had other relationships, didn't have the relationship with Microsoft, which they considered strategic to their business. Right. And and then I've had, it's interesting. I've had a number of, in fact, I would say within the last 5 years, I've had more proactive solicitation for work on LinkedIn, where an executive reached out to me and say, "Hey, I see you have some experience and you've worked in an area that I need. I'd be really interested in speaking with you about this if you're interested in talking." Cool. So
it's the Rolodex, and then it also is like what you had said earlier, where you need to frame the communication in a way that benefits them first. 2018 Joe Bustillos here. Thank you for spending time with me at JBB's Final Thoughts. If you want to continue to participate in my outer monologue, you can subscribe to my blog at http://joebustillos.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click on the follow button where it says follow blog via email, and enter your email address. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just search for JBB's Final Thoughts and make sure it doesn't autocorrect to something like Jobs Final Thoughts. Damn autocorrect. Catch you later. Bye.